Alright, so hello everyone and welcome to my version of Sanctuary. So those of you familiar would know Sanctuary is a pretty simple suburb town, village, community. Simple houses, one story, used to be fairly nice and comfortable before the atomic disaster. And when you get here, most of them are burnt out shells, and some of them you can reduce to foundation, others leave some little hulks. So, in rebuilding Sanctuary, I wanted to do something that was a little bit more focused on the defensive side of things. So I know like most people like to try to refurbish these buildings. Instead, I stripped them bare of everything except maybe some buttholes, and I instead built something that's a little bit, well, drastically different from what you'd expect. So instead of this, we ended up with something like that massive structure that you see behind there. So this is my Sanctuary community build. It's 3 stories high, pretty wide, pretty long, and it's designed with defense in mind. So as you can see, there's only one entrance here. So only one way in, one way out, and that way is well defended. So we have some turrets on the outside here, and we'll take a tour inside to see how that leads.
You hear about that farm run by ghouls? Isn't that something?
Alright, so settlers come up this way, and if there are any raiders that want to, they would have to come up here as well. Face some gunfire, and face the sentry, and the sentry is placed so that they also have a clear line of fire as they go by and go into the actual community. So we have a walkway here, and this walkway extends out into the middle of this space, and it's also covered by turrets, and in the future will be some other measures as well. When they descend, there's some more turrets here, here, and in the back as well. So the defensive side of things was set up to kind of mirror a tower defense type of strategy, where you have them limited to a specific pathway, and then you make sure that pathway is completely covered with countermeasures. So that way I'm pretty sure that any standard raider incursion can be handled pretty easily by this community. Now let's take a look through the actual community build itself.
Nice job with those defenses.
So first thing I will probably do is take a look at the sleeping arrangements, and you'll notice that there are a lot of rooms, and this took a little while to build because I did go into some detail. So for instance, I wanted everyone to have privacy and comfort. So in each room, rather than just grouping some beds in a common sleeping area, I decided to give each one a personal space. Give them a door for some privacy, seating area so that they can entertain people or do what they want, and dresser to store their belongings. They have a light source, and of course a comfortable bed. I think the only thing I haven't gotten around to is giving them pillows. But other than that, it's a room that they can be at peace with. The tricky part to this was, of course, in building, getting everything to snap and align, and I did have to use mods for that. For instance, this concrete piece was the only piece I could find with a doorway arrangement that would kind of fit the rest of the build. Because the rest of the build is based on metal. Why metal? Because in the beginning, the idea for this build was based on the defensive side of things, as I have said, so I wasn't really concerned with the aesthetic. So I just wanted to put up the structure, and then once I did get the structure up, that's when I really started to look at aesthetics. So I did use a mod to get the metal and concrete pieces to coexist and get along well, because normally they don't snap to each other as easily as we would want. It's kind of frustrating. Put in the concrete doorway, put in a door, and finished, and voila, you have a room for everyone. Now, all of this floor contains living quarters, rooms for the settlers, who don't seem to like to close doors. They just kind of go in and leave the door open. You know, the room, all of the rooms are appointed pretty much the same exact way. I haven't gotten around to decorating them as yet, like maybe some posters and some pictures. So we will probably see later on when I get around to do that how different the place looks.
Can't remember the last time I had.
Hey, how is things? Let's go up to the 3rd floor, and you'll see that the rooms are pretty much exactly the same. Couch, bed, cabinet, door, and we have the turrets up here. This room, is it this room? This one. Ah, yep, here we go. We have Mama Murphy in her custom chair. That's the only different one, you know, because that's a mission item, special item. So that build, she's situated here, and she's also well taken care of. So that's the settlers, and there are 21 rooms. So this community can handle 21 settlers as of right now. So if we take the workshop view, you see we have 9 settlers, because this is pretty early in the game. Very, very early. As soon as I was able, I just started building, because I kind of wanted to get this done before I headed out. I didn't want to be like halfway across the map and then my settlers were in danger. Because my settlers were there were only like 5 of them to begin with, I believe. So let's go upstairs. Upstairs here this is where I have set up the food resources. So you'll see we have crops growing here, and we have the relevant people assigned to them, of course. Crops here, crops here. What kind of, where are the crops here? Alright, so we have people assigned to them. Board. Yeah. So a whole row of crops. New fruit, all of that stuff. And we even have some extra plots set for when this place expands, because I was building large with the idea that I would accommodate a very large number in relation to what I started with, so that as the settlement grew, I wouldn't have to change much until very much later on. I put in some railings here because I'm not sure how the AI handles such things, but I didn't want anyone falling off there and dying. Now, this see-through flooring was a very nice touch for the top, because I did want this kind of circular arrangement with sunlight pouring through the center to get as much natural light in as possible. So as you saw from below, it works. It's not dark and gloomy. When I was building this place and nighttime came, it got so dark inside of here. It was pitch black. Like even on the outside, you would have moonlight to kind of guide you, but inside here it was just dark because there was just so many shadows and there's no real source of light. So that's why I ended up peppering the place with so many lights, so many of them, and we'll see what that looks like at night in a bit. Even walkway, we have a lot of lights strung along the way, and in all the corners you'll see we have like these industrial lights as well to kind of make sure that everything is lit up and well illuminated. Now let's just take the tour down to the final floor, the first floor, and you'll see that this floor I have set up as a kind of community space. There are no apartments down here because this was dedicated as the floor where the community would kind of be able to spend their leisure time and their work time. So we have some scavenging stations here, all of them assigned. We have a chem station so they can produce their things. We have a barber station, which I believe I have not assigned anyone to this yet. We'll get to that. Cooking station, I just grabbed the same cooking station from outside. It was near one of the houses and I took it up, brought it in here. And weapons workbench and the armor workbench are my things, so that's what I use to work on my armor. Power conduits and so on. We'll get to the power in a moment. Here I took some time and painstakingly set up communal washrooms. Now, so we have, these are the restrooms, toilets. We have female, we have male. Set up with ceramic ware, so they are taken care of in that regard. The doors, you'll notice, are just kind of hanging there because I could not find, or maybe I have not unlocked, or maybe there just aren't any in the game, any doorways for half size, stall size. So they are just going to have to hang there for now. 2 sinks, and these are the bathrooms. Now I do eventually plan to put some shower heads here, but I have not unlocked those as well as yet. Bathroom here as well, and of course lit properly and functioning. So their needs they are taken care of. And a nice little treat for them is this. They have their own movie theater. So as soon as I get a hollow player set up in here, we can have like movies playing and people can come in and enjoy like an evening at the talkies. It's not set up with bright lights as the outside. Instead we have these red kind of night vision preserving bulbs going down, so to kind of set the aesthetic and to keep it kind of dark. I have to remove that one. There's some trash cans here, and here we have some vending machines and a dining area. So we have with a disco ball, because you know, festive. We have an ice machine, we have a Nuka-Cola machine, we have these electronics, which I have to figure out how to stock somehow. And we have a place where people can sit and eat, and have lunch, and socialize. So this is again another social space for them. And here we have the gym for them to work out and make sure that they keep fit and ready to defend operators. It's really weird seeing them use the pommel horse. It looks like a scene from The Exorcist, but they seem to love it. Usually you'll get them coming down to work out at the end of the day.
Hey.
Hey, Sturgis. Now, the last thing is let's have a look at the power. So, we have a radiation arch here, lights all over, and turrets, and a spotlight, and all of that has to be powered somehow. The power from for my settlement comes from these 4 generators here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And rather than have power lines run all over this building like a spider web, I wanted to go kind of the elegant route. So I don't know if you'll see it, but right here there's a rail. Like, you'll see the end of it here. And this is the power conduit that I have run alongside the building here with connectors that these generators hook up to. And this rail is the primary line that brings power into the building. So we have this rail here. Let me bring up the workshop view so I can highlight these things. Right, so that is the rail. And this connector here leads to this one. So that's the connector for the first floor, and then we have the connector for the second floor and for the third floor. That's up there. And of course it goes up to the roof. We also have a rail on this side. Can I highlight that from here? No. Well, the target is on it there, that thing. So that connects to the top as well, and that rail carries power along there. Yep, that's it. That's the rail going around, and brings power down to the decontamination arch. Settler. Is this a problem? Is he getting stuck there? I think it is. So he brings power down to the decontamination arch, and then we have another rail here that takes power to the spotlight, and then from the spotlight I can run power to any other features I want to add later on, like traps and so on. So on arch. It looks like he's just standing there. I'll check it later and make sure that he's not graphically stuck.
Let's trade.
Sure thing.
Cheap. So just to give you a quick rundown on the power arrangement on the inside. Again, it's the use of conduits. I do like the way the conduits look. You know, it's much better than having just wires hanging around and looping down across there. So this is the conduit connector that comes in from the outside. It's a very special piece that you have to use for this purpose. So I take it from the outside and it comes in here. There's a bottom piece that you can't remove, so I put just a power radiator there. And the top is what I'm interested in because all my conduits run along the ceiling to be out of the way. And how the distribution works is, you can see an example of it here in this corner. Let's just follow the junction, and from here you have a ring type of arrangement where the conduit just goes all the way around. It goes down this way, continues down this way, and just keeps going down. And along the way, you have these connectors here, and it's connected to these house connector distributors, and from this here, you get power being distributed to all these lights and all nearby devices, including, like, for instance, the TV, the different lights, the different devices, and so on. Whatever I add in can take power from this radiator. So we have these interspersed along the rings all around.
Hi,
So once they're placed spaced proper width apart, you don't have to worry about running power to lights or devices or stations or anything like that. And we have the handy dandy connection points in case something needs a direct connection. So it's like wall outlets basically. And I find they work really well. They cover the settlement properly, completely, so there's no gaps, and everything is lit and everything is powered, and that works really well. The reason why I use these instead of using these power radiators is that I find the range on these power radiators is way too small. Like, it's about one of these squares. The length of one of these squares, that's the range. So if there's a power connector here, you can put a bulb probably by this foot pedal and the bulb will not get power from that radiator. These connectors, however, they radiate at a much greater distance. They radiate at roughly about the length of 2 of these squares. So if there's a power radiator here, you would get power from it probably at about here, but you wouldn't even need to because there's some overlap from this one. So the coverage is much more lenient. Like, for instance, here you have 3 squares between these 2 covering points, and even though you have that much of a distance, you're still getting light to this ceiling light here because these connectors cover much more distance. And so that's why I went with this arrangement here and just peppered the whole place with it. So now we have that in place, we don't have to worry about power or anything like that. The settlement itself is very, very safe with this walkway arrangement, and we have you have any intruders just coming down and taking fire from the security measures as well as from the settlers themselves. They'll be forced into this arrangement where they have to kind of deal with the consequences of trespassing, because we've built a pretty nice community here for these people and we want them to be able to defend themselves, and we want the community to be able to grow. So the community will be able to grow to 21, at which point I will have to look at expanding it somehow.
Don't much care for good neither. That place is nothing.
I can, of course, always just take the top off and just keep going vertically, but I kind of like what I've done here, and if there's any expansion for the future, I'll probably do something maybe besides this structure, or maybe at the end of the cul-de-sac or something. So what we're going to do now is, let's just give you a final look. So we're going to come here, have a seat, and we are going to take a look at how this thing looks at night. I suppose when I start doing the missions and I start going to the other settlements, I probably will not be able to replicate this in each of these settlements. One, because the size and other stipulations for the other settlements are wildly different, and we're not sure you'll have the space for something like this. And also, it took a lot of time to put this all together. So I'm not sure I'd want to go through that for each and every settlement. So I'd probably try to figure something out unique for each one. You know, just sort of at least try to make sure that they're okay. But this main one here is the flagship. You know, it's the one that I wanted this one to be totally secure, totally safe, and untouchable almost. So that's kind of why I put the effort into this one so early into the game, when I haven't even begun venturing out properly. And you know, so far it's been a real success. We have the people coming in and out, fulfilling their jobs, and they're using the apartments, you know, so they've kind of got the lay of the land hardwired in, and they know that this is their home now. Because in the beginning, building this thing, it was just a structure in town. It, you know, it hadn't I hadn't set it up to kind of force them into it as yet. But once I started putting the food up on the roof and assigning them to jobs in the building, then, you know, we had people filtering in. I did, as we said, have to use some mods. One was the Police Anywhere mod, and that was to be able to put things like the concrete doorway and so on into places where you just couldn't get it done in the vanilla game. What other mod did I use? I think that was pretty much it. I didn't use mods much in this game because I do kind of want to continue through with the storyline. So, here we go. It's taking a little bit of time to do this waiting. That's because I have the recording software in the background. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You wanna believe how dark it was inside of there, just trying to build this thing at night. And I guess it took me probably a week of game time. No, it would have to be more than that. Let's say like, yeah, probably a week. Probably a week of game time. Bear in mind, I did, however, tend to fast forward through the night and only work in the daytime because of the darkness. And when I finally was able to get the generators up and running and get the lights going, that's when I really started to not worry about the nighttime. So to show you how the lighting looks out, we have one spotlight out there, and it's kind of swinging across, and it's not really lighting up the place as well as I would like. So I would probably put a couple more later on. I still have to decide where I want to put in additional security measures. So for instance, instead of putting a spotlight here, I would want to put a turret. So until I make that decision, I'm not really worrying about external lighting for now. So we walk in and do the contamination, and already you can see that this place is well lit. There's lights here, there's lights there, there's lights all over, and as you come in, the entire place is lit up, and it's this welcoming kind of opening vista of its wide open space, but everything's well lit and comfortable and homey and welcoming and feels safe. There's the sky up above you, but there's the grating to kind of make sure that nothing falls in or crashes in.
Things are tough.
And no rails can get
They'll
in
get
there
better.
somehow. Hi, Preston. There's the track lighting up above that's more aesthetic than for actual lighting. And up top we also have some spotlights, some construction lights that cast some light down as well. We have these lights along the floor edges, and we also have the ceiling lights tracking down and around. So everything's well lit and well put together, and everything's functioning. Here you see the end of the day, people come and work out. They use the weight bench. We have a guy here staring.
These are harder than
And our movie theater is really well come together. It's we have the mood lighting that kind of fits the movie theater aesthetic. You can still see the walk go in here, and it's dark enough still that you can properly see what's on the screen. So I'm really pleased at how that turned out. Everything functioning properly. I did use a console command to grow the size of this television. It's probably 3 times bigger than what it's supposed to be. The graphical glitches you're seeing don't usually happen in the game, and that's only happening because I'm using the recording software at the moment. So that is my settlement, and that is how I've laid it out. Those are the principles I based it on when I was constructing it, and the settlers seem to be really happy here. So next video I will probably give you a revisit when I finish decorating it and so on, and I'll give you an update about what happens when raiders actually try to penetrate this place. What I'm hoping happens is that they get here and fall down and die, and then when I come in I just kind of walk along this walkway picking up loot and just have no effort to put into it at all. So that's kind of the idea. So hopefully that turns out the way I want. Thank you for watching. Spot. Have a great day.